Hi everyone, welcome back to G2.24 with me, Prince Rufaro Makaya, and
Chipo Makaya,
my wife. And we're back again on the journey of marriage. How long have you been married?
We've been married for 28 years.
That's not correct. Can you count? Count it.
Really?
Huh? 1992 to 2020. Put one, carry one. You're stressed for the first time.
It's 28, I told you, it's 28.
When do you actually get married? You're talking about the wedding, right? But is that when we got married?
Yes.
That's questionable, but let's go on. We'll see why in a moment. Now, when you're last time we were talking about, where were we? Engagement. You have decided that this is the person you're going to spend the rest of your life with, and we said there are some questions that you can ask when you go out on dates to see if you guys are really, is the word compatible?
If the marriage will work or not work, if you get along or not get along, or you're just playing around and wasting each other's time.
Okay. So now let's say you've decided, yes, this is the person I'm going to get married to for the rest of my life. 28 years, counting as she sings. And you decide you're going to get married. Now, in our culture, we often equate the wedding, the marriage, as one thing. And sometimes we focus so much on the wedding that we actually forget what the marriage is all about. A wedding takes place on a specific date, specific time. That's when you say, I do. And once that's done, the wedding is done. And I think we often equate the two because that's when you sign a piece of paper.
A very important piece of paper, because depending on where you are living, there are different kinds of legal papers that you need and what each legal paper means. For example, in Zimbabwe, you can sign to have a traditional marriage, which means that you can have a co-wife and you're fine with it. Alternatively, you can take the other marriage where when you sign, it is just the two of you. No one else is allowed to come into your marriage. And should they be deaf or divorced, the law protects the person that is still living. Therefore, that piece of paper which he has talked about, I want to encourage us to get the piece of paper.
But let's go back a bit into biblical times. We're so used to the white weddings that we have. You go to church and you're pronounced husband and wife. But really, when you go back into the Bible, nothing like that existed. And in fact, we want to go back to what we now call the engagement. In those days, I think the word was betrothal. And this was a very, very serious issue. And betrothals took place between families. So when I was doing the research, I found that biblical marriages were more similar to African marriages than they were to Western marriages, because the marriage was between two families. And when you were betrothed, if you remember the story of Mary and Joseph, when you were betrothed in the biblical days, anything that happened outside that betrothal, any intimacy that took place, was regarded almost the same as adultery.
You know, when I was growing up, I did not have this understanding of what an engagement is. What I understood was an engagement can be broken. So you can get engaged and get out of it, and you have not really hurt anybody or anything. But from the research that Prince is talking about, getting engaged to somebody is a very serious thing before God's eyes. So how are you going to leave your parents? Are you going to get engaged? Are you going to just to disappear? Or are you going to have a wedding?
Now, when we go back to biblical times again, when when the engagement took place, there was an exchange of gifts between the two families, which is something that happens in the African culture and not in the Western culture. And then, now when the marriage was actually taking place, this was a huge deal between the two families. Again, it wasn't between two individuals. When we look at the different cultures, when you have that ceremony where you go and marry, or you go and ask for a hand in marriage, and you exchange gifts however you do it in your particular situation, again, that's a serious commitment between two families. And it's very important to note that, because it has both positive and negative ramifications, because your families are involved in your marriage from the time you commit to the wedding and even after that. And I think you love talking about family interference in marriages. Go ahead.
In the African culture, we need to remember that we are not just getting married, the two of us, but we are marrying into a family, and we become a part of an extended family. It is good to honor our parents. It is good to honor our relatives. You don't have to be a part of badness within the family, but biblically, we are called to love those around us. So marriage does not actually cut us off from our relatives, but it actually extends our relatives, our relationships.
So it's good to be in good books with the two families on both sides of your marriage. Now, when you're preparing for the actual wedding, in Africa we spend a lot of money doing weddings and funerals, but today we're talking about weddings.
Weddings are nice.
We spend a lot of money, we invite a lot of people, and I've seen missionaries come from the US and other places who don't understand the concept of marrying into families, try and encourage the African community not to don't do big weddings, you spend too much money, you should just do weddings within your means. But what they don't understand is the whole cultural setup and the fact that you are marrying into a whole family, and that everyone feels like this is their child, or these are their children who are getting married, they need to celebrate. But once again, don't spend too much preparing for a wedding and completely forgetting what is to come after, which is your marriage.
It is extremely important to prepare for your marriage. Like Princess mentioned, wedding day is fantastic. It is lovely, a lot of celebration. And don't cut out your relatives, because relatives feel like this is our wedding and they are excited to be a part of it. But sometimes when you are young, you don't have that concept. You wonder why this auntie is so much involved or wants to be involved. They are doing it out of love. They're excited for you. They love you. And it's good to accommodate them. I'm not saying they run your lives, but it's good to accommodate. You accommodate both sides, the gentleman's side and your side. The wedding is very, very important. Why is the wedding important? Because we are celebrating this new union. Marriage is a good thing. It is a gift from God, so let's celebrate it. It also gives an opportunity for the couple to be blessed by the spiritual leaders, the pastors, the elders, even the parents. They have an opportunity to pray for their child and to bless them, to speak into the future. Marriage is an opportunity to tell.
The wedding, not the marriage. The wedding.
Yes, the wedding. Let's go back to the wedding. The wedding is also an opportunity to tell John, Peter, and everyone else that you're no longer available. Because sometimes when somebody just kind of disappears, we just think maybe they traveled for 3 months, for 1 year. When they come back, they're available. They are no longer available. If you have a wedding, it is a quick and easy way of telling everybody, this one is no longer available, no longer on the market. The wedding gives an opportunity for gifts to be given by relatives and friends. As a general rule, people who have a wedding, they start off somehow better than those that just disappear, because they did not get any help to start off to build their home in different ways. Weddings are also very, very important because you build beautiful memories of why you did this. Why did I choose him? Why did he choose me? Those memories work as fuel for you over a long period of time. I encourage you to have a lovely wedding and enjoy it.
And there's also the legal side. I think Chipo mentioned it in the beginning, that there are a lot of legal requirements when it comes to marriages. So it's very important for you to fulfill those legal requirements. You can always go to the court, just the two of you and a few witnesses, that's fine. But like she said, this is a celebration that is good to share with other people and to be witnessed by other people. Now for us, we didn't have a lot of money when we got married, and our families couldn't help us that much. And so we came up with a plan of how we're going to sponsor this wedding. In Kenya, they have these wedding committees, and they have what they call harambes, where they can get help financially from friends, from family. But in Zimbabwe, we don't have such. And so it's either you and your spouse, you take care of your own wedding. If your parents can help, they help. But in most cases, it's you and your spouse who are actually helping, who are funding everything. And so you have to find a way of doing that on your own.
Let me just get back to this harambe. I want to encourage you people, maintain your relationships. Do not just wake up sending an SMS, hi, how are you? After you've not communicated for a year, 2 years, 3 years, hi, I'm having a wedding, I want to invite you to be my guest of honor, or I want to invite you to be part of the wedding committee. You know, that is not very nice. So it is good to have relationships that work. And don't just have relationships just so that they can help you during the harambe, and once they have helped you with their resources, you dump them because they are no longer useful for you. God doesn't like that. It is good to be sincere and to build good relationships.
So for us, what we did was we planned our wedding about a year in advance. I can't remember if it was a year or just under. But what we did, we sat down and looked for everything that we wanted. We wanted to invite 500 guests. And so we looked for a caterer who could do 500 guests. And the way the caterer worked was they gave you, you told them what you wanted to eat, and then they gave you the menu, and then they gave you the ingredients. And so you had to go out and buy the ingredients, and they'll cook for you and serve your guests. And then we looked for someone to do the dress. We looked for a place for the ring. We looked all those things that you do for a wedding. But what we did was each month, at the end of each month, we're now both working. So we committed to do something each month, something small. So at the end of the month, we would buy a whole packet of spices. We go into town and get spices. And then we go across town and pay a little bit more for the wedding dress, and go somewhere else and pay a little bit for the cake. And by the time the wedding came, we had paid for everything, and we did not owe anyone anything, and we didn't ask for help from anyone, even though our parents and some other people helped where they could, but they were helping on the basis of the plan that we had in place. So that's something you can do so that you don't end up with a lot of debt as you start off, your marriage, which is more important than the wedding day?
It is good that when people come in to help, they are not helping you from scratch. It is good to think through what you want to achieve and work together without being totally dependent and waiting on somebody else. Because when this person is not able to help, there's a lot of disappointment and bitterness, which really should not be there, because they are only helping you out of goodwill.
So if you've decided this is the one, remember, a wedding day, your reception is a fantastic time to celebrate, but there is the marriage beyond the wedding. So make sure you prepare for your wedding, enjoy it, have fun, build memories, celebrate with others, but also remember there's something else that is coming the day after.
Before we end this, there is a true story that took place. Let me say in Southern Africa. And the story went viral. The gentleman saw this beautiful, beautiful lady and decided to marry the beautiful, beautiful lady. And then when they went for honeymoon, the lady did not have the accessories. And the guy was upset. He wanted the dowry back. He did not want to marry this lady anymore. So what Prince is saying, look beyond the wedding day. Look beyond what you simply just see outside. Get to know the real person. Because a wedding is for a day and the marriage is for a lifetime.
That's nice. Wedding is for a day, marriage is for a lifetime. Now, if you do the things, let's say you plan your wedding the way we did it. I'm not saying it's the only way or it's the best way, but that period of 1 year doing these things together also gave us a taste of what was to come, because we had to work together, we had to budget together, we had different jobs, we were actually living in different towns, and so we are able to get an idea of what it means to work together to achieve something really big. And that's part of marriage. You can work together even after the wedding to do big things together and to build each other up.
Hallelujah.
Amen. Preach it to me. Let me get your cake.
We are going to be giving away these 2 books. If you will answer the question, what is the difference between a marriage and a wedding? Then you'll be able to get a copy of Dating with Pure Passion or Praying for Your Spouse.
She wanted to show off something. Can you see it? Tell them what I did for you.
Okay, you know when we were dating, Prince used to bake for me. And you'd bring these lovely cakes to my mother's house. Oh my goodness. I baked a little, but he baked way more than I did. So I was thoroughly impressed. And he also cooked a lot, when I would visit his mom's place, he would really cook and I would eat things that I was not used to eating in my mother's house, lovely, lovely things. And then, we got married.
I did this one.
We got married and the baking stopped. So I was asking him what happened. When we were dating, he used to bring me cakes. I wouldn't even ask for the cakes. They would come. Well-decorated cakes.
It has come.
And then now, originally I didn't know the plan, that for the anniversary, the plan was to bake this beautiful cake for me. When it did happen, I was told the plan and I just said, that is a lovely thought. I was glad that the thought was there. Ingredients were bought. And at some point I was wondering, why have you bought these ingredients, these things we don't normally use? And he said, he wanted to use them to bake the cake. time passed. This is now marriage. Time passed. The ingredients, as I was organizing our house, I noticed, some of the ingredients are now expiring. And I graciously told him, oh, I think the date is passing on some of these products. I didn't tantrum. Did he make the cake the day that I told him? No. Days still passed. And for me, it didn't bother me. So I got a wonderful surprise late last night. Oh my goodness, the cake came. It was so lovely.
It came, so
yeah.
everything is past, the new has come.
Oh yes, and ting 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 ting. Many points.
Many points. You need to be gaining many points in marriage, not just the wedding.
Yes. Thank you for the cake.
Yeah, most welcome. See you next time on G2.24. Bye.
Bye.